Okay, this is a video about absolute value. Absolute value is the property of a number, and it, strictly speaking, defines that number's distance from 0. So here we have a number line, here is 0. Let's say we're looking for the absolute value of 3. Well, in this case, we would count back towards 0, 2, 1, 0. So the distance 3 is from 0 is 3. So using these vertical lines, we indicate we're looking for the absolute value of 3. In this case, it's 3. If we were talking about the absolute value of -4, we would also move back towards 0. This would be -3. This would be -2. This would be -1. And we'd move 1, 2, 3, 4 spaces back to 0. So the distance -4 is from 0, or the absolute value of -4 is 4. Another trick of thinking about absolute value is to simply say whatever is inside the absolute value sign is positive. So if it's positive 3, it stays positive. If it's -4, it becomes positive 4. Absolute value can also relate to the way in which we talk about adding and subtracting real numbers. So here we have another number line. And let's say we're talking about 3 plus a -2. So we mark 3 on the number line. And if we're adding -2 to 3, what we do is we move 2 in the direction of the negatives. So we move 1, 2. This would be 2. This would be 1. So 3 plus -2 is 1. Okay? So you can think of it, the number line and the absolute value, as a way of dealing with the addition and subtraction of integers. In this case, 3 plus -2, you start at 3 and you move 2 in the direction toward the negatives, which would be down here. We could also talk about addition in this case. 3 plus 2 instead of 3 plus -2. Again, here's 0. We would start off at 3. This time we'd move 2 in the direction of the positives. 1, 2. This is 4 here. This is 5. So 3 plus +2, or 3 plus 2, is 5. Remember that subtraction is the distance or the difference between two numbers. And that's the same way you can think about it here. So for instance, if we're talking about 3 minus -2, we're asking what's the difference between 3 and -2? Or, in other words, what's the distance between them? So if I have -2 here, and I have 3 here, I would count 1, 2, okay? That's the absolute value of -2, that the distance to 0 is 2, and then I would continue counting all the way up to number 3. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So the difference between 3 and -2, or the distance between 3 and -2, is 5. So 3 minus -2 is 5.